Hey honey buns, and what is up, and happy first day of Vlogmas. Today on Honey Bun TV _ we are going to be learning how to make a puffer quilt. Grab your scissors and let's get started. Okay, honey buns, everything you're gonna need is going to be listed in the description box below per usual, but I'm just going to let you know that you're going to need 3 layers of fabric. Okay, your first layer is going to be your top layer, your second layer is going to be your middle layer in the back of your quilts to make your pockets, and your third layer is going to be the inside, which we are going to make that green. Okay, like the Grinch. Now after that, I decided I was going to get some cardboard. You can get a piece of fabric to determine your pattern for how big you're going to make the squares. These screenshots are from ChatGPT because ChatGPT had to do all the math. I'm not a math person. And I decided I was going to do 6 squares across. Now, whatever you want to do across and whatever you choose is what you choose. You can do that. But as you see here, I'm using cardboard and scissors. Later on in the video, my rotary knife finally came. It's best to use a rotary knife in this occasion, that way so you can get more of a clean cut look. And if you're doing a lot of squares, baby, you don't want to be cutting all those squares with no scissors like that. Okay, so that's why I'm using what I'm using. And I'm also using cardboard because sometimes when you are using fabric as a pattern, you can make an accident and cut the fabric while you are cutting. You could cut your pattern while you cutting the fabric. I said it backwards. Okay, now as you can see me here doing, I am doing my cheetah print. I wanted to do cheetah print in each row, at least 1 and or 2 patches, because I've been having a session with some cheetah print lately. But I'm trying to figure out in my head how to cut this the fastest way that I can. So you can typically cut it on a fold. If you're going to fold it over, after you do this one fold, as you see me here doing, you're going to see me fold it again. And that way you will have double pieces rather than you cutting one square out at a time. And even if you do not fold this over double, folding it over period is just the way to go. Okay, don't cut this one by one. Now I folded it over. And when I do, I'll get 2 pieces. If I was to double it, I would have gotten 4. But this is what the first 2 is going to look like. I'm going to double it when it comes to the other, but I just wanted to show you guys first. This is what it should look like. And of course, not only is it doubled, but I also cut where it was folded at as well. So I wouldn't have to do that after I got my 2 pieces. So this is just the first batch here, and what I'm showing you is the red. That is going to be your second layer because that is how you are going to create your pockets. People do it differently. I'm going to show you way 1 to do it in this video. The next piece of fabric that I'm using is going to be some polka dot fabric, and this is a fat quarter, but honestly you can get half a yard of cotton, or sometimes depending on how many squares you're doing or how big you want your puffer to be, you can do a whole yard of cotton. It is totally up to you. It's your quilt, okay? Okay, y'all, so this is a rotary knife. I will include the link that I got it from. It was Amazon. It was $9.99 and it was on sale. Sometimes these rotary knives be off the chain with the price, okay, but we're within a budget. Now, as you can see me here doing, I am not just only using my rotary knife, but I'm using my rotary knife on a cutting board. As you can see my floors here, I do not want to make a mistake and accidentally press too hard, because you got to press down on these things, okay? And then make a mark on the floor. So that's why I'm doing it like this. And you see how neat that is? And I'm just literally taking my time. This is what I mean by double folding it over So as here, I have 4 pieces rather than 2 pieces from one fold. Either or is better than cutting it one by one. So I'm just going to finish cutting everything, and then we're going to come back and do the next step. Okay, honey buns. Now, the next step is I'm going to be lining my squares up with my 3rd layer of fabric, which is going to be on the inside. Now, this said this was supposed to be 58 inches and 60 inches long, but 58 inches wide, 60 inches long, it wasn't that. Okay, so we're gonna have to work with what we have here, and you really honestly want to do this just to make sure that you got the right measurement of fabric as well, and you know, also just to see how it looks. So I'm just gonna line everything up, and then after we are going to be pinning it together. As you can see here, I have decided how I'm going to line all of my pieces up, all of my patterns up, and what goes with what. After that, we are going to be pairing them and sewing them on top of each other. Now, this is the part where I said people do their quilts a little bit different, or their puffer quilts a little bit different, because either A, I can take one piece by one square, sew it together, and or B, I can take one row, sew that row together, and sew the rest of the rows together all in one, rather than one piece by one piece. And if I didn't say earlier, if you didn't see in the screenshot, I have 6 squares going across, and I have 9 rows. Okay, so as you can see me here doing what I'm doing with my 6 across, I am pinning them together because they are going to be sewed face to face. Now with the red, it really don't matter because it's red, it's one all around. But the same concept still follows. So I'm just going to be pinning my rows, and then we're just going to come back and get ready to sew. Right, I know I said that we finished sew, which we is, but I figured I show y'all what I mean. As you can see, I have 6 pieces of my row with the pattern, and then I have 6 pieces of my red. Now I'm showing you, just like how I did, what I mean when I say we're going to be sewing these face to face, right sides up. You're going to sew each one just like that where it is pinned. So you're just going to sew a straight line down and leave it at that. You're going to get your other piece, like I said, that's pinned, and you are going to sew it just like that. Now, after you've sewn all of your rows together, and I made this a little bit slow so you can understand. After you've sewn all of your red, all of your, pattern rows together, you are going to now sew the red and the pattern piece together. Now, this method is better than sewing each square together, in my opinion, and then one by one, because that's a lot of squares and that's a lot of sewing. This makes it a little bit faster. So as you can see here, we have the red and we have your pattern. You are going to take your red row and you are going to take your pattern row and you are going to face them right sides up, and or because the red is all the red, you are going to face them seams outward. So the seams should not be touching themselves. And then you are going to sew. And when you sew it, you're going to sew up to your left, and then you're going to sew down. Notice how when I sew it, there's a opening at the bottom. So we're not going to sew it like a full square and close it. We're going to sew it to the point where we still have an opening. After you're done, this is what it should look like, okay? If you are having trouble understanding what I said, baby, look, this is what I mean. And take your time. If you're a beginner, you're first sewer, you want to do this for Christmas, take your time, okay? Be proud of yourself that you're learning how to do something new, period. Now, after we have sewn our sides together, as you can see here, we're going to flip it inside out, or outside in for that matter of fact. You're just going to flip it to where your pattern pieces is on the outside facing you at this point. After that, we are, and this is optional, we're just going to iron our seams down. This is going to make it really easy and really smooth when it comes to us making our pockets. And as you can see, I'm going real smooth, real light, because I got some metallic fabric and I don't want to make my iron stick to the metallic, okay? We got time for that. Now, I am on my last row of ironing, and we are officially moving on so we can make our squares, honey buns, okay? As you can see here, I'm literally making a straight line on each of the seams. And if you don't know what a seam is, you sewing something together where the thread is, okay? Easiest way I can explain it. You're gonna sew right on top of that. And if you notice, after you do each one, it makes a pocket. So you're going to do that for however many rows you have, whether you have 6, whether you have 5, you are going to sew a straight stitch on top of the seam. And take your time with this because you really want to get on each stitch. Now, it's time to stuff this puffer quilt. Come on right now, honey bun. Give yourself a round of applause because you made it this far. Now, I'm just showing you an example of the 2 rows that I have already put together and what the puff is going to look like. In this case, you should know you ain't stuffing it like no stuffed turkey now. Maybe half a turkey or half a chicken, but you ain't stuffing it too hard. What you are going to do is you are going to take some of your pins as well, because we again are going to be sewing rows on top of each other to complete. And you're going to be taking just a little bit of polyfill. As you can see here, that's a small piece, okay? And you are going to be putting it in your poly winner pocket. As you can see here also, I am pushing the polyfill more so to the top, because when you sew it, you really kind of don't want to be sewing on the polyfill. So you really should have half a seam, or you should allow yourself half a seam from the bottom, so you can sew it without any trouble or any difficulties, okay? Now, we getting ready to be done with this last row. So I'm just going to explain to you what we're going to do before we do it. As I've said before, right side's facing up when we're sewing together. That is literally what you're going to do as you are piecing together your puffer quilt. So this piece that I'm stuffing now, I'm eventually obviously going to take it, and I am going to be placing it right sides facing up on top of the other row. And that is where I'm going to pin. And I'm going to pin on the seams. Again, if that polyfill is coming to the top, push it right back down, okay? As you can see here, I am pinning everything because it just makes it easier and it makes it more smoother. And like I said, you want to give yourself half a seam. And look, that's seamless. That's cute right there, okay? And you notice how it just is flat. After I'm done pinning, honey bun, you're literally going to sew a straight line across. And that is how you are going to create your puffers together. I'm just showing you again so you can get a good idea. Now that I've finished sewing my pieces right sides facing each other on top of them, ooh, this is coming out so cute. Now I'm gonna do the literal same thing. Take your rows and place them right sides facing up, because it's 2 and 2 together, and sew them right on top of each other. And as you can see here, obviously from when we filled it, I told y'all to push the polyfill up. And this is also why I told you don't fill it up too much, because it's a little bit easier to pinch it and push it in the middle. Okay, honey buns, we are moving on to our last step. And as you can see right here, the way that I just held my hands, I am just mapping out how big I want my opening to be. So where you see my pin at is basically where I'm going to start sewing. and where I'm not going to sew. So I will show y'all the direction you're going to go in so you can still have an opening. And this is just the easiest way that I've been able to do it. And you want to keep your fabric obviously straight. And it's just the easiest way that it works, in my opinion. Okay. So as you can see here, I'm pinning all around the blanket except for where I have those 2 pins. And notice, obviously, the pins are like 5 to 7 inches away from each other. So you're going to start sewing after that pin, straight down, all around, until you get to the other pin. You see, I don't say that you sew in the middle. You're not sewing in the middle. That middle needs to be an opening. Do not sew there, okay? Sew where the start of the pin is until you get around to the next one, okay? Now, I slowed this down because you can see where my thread is and where that opening is. This is what it should look like, okay, honey buns? And you want to make that opening, like I said, at least 8 inches, 5 to 8 inches big, because you got to pull that thing through. And you don't want no difficulty doing it. Isn't she so pretty? Oh my goodness. After you have pulled everything through, you're just going to make sure that your corners are pointy. And then you are going to take that opening and literally sew a straight stitch across. Now, if y'all want me to teach y'all how to do a ladder stitch to close it so it doesn't have thread across, I can. But in this instance, it doesn't matter because we are going to be using the same color thread. So you're not even going to be able to really even see it. So you're just going to sew across. And baby, after you sew across, you see that red right there? You barely even see it, like I told you. That's how it should look. Okay, nice, clean, and neat. And if you got a label, you could put your label right there too and give it to your grandma or whoever, or your boo, for Christmas. Neat and clean. Honey buns, that was it. See you guys tomorrow for Vlogmas video number 2. Mwah.